barber shop was a male domain because you'd also get advice on sexual diseases because, of course, everybody had like syphilis. Oh,
right.
So this is a fake nose. So everybody sort of lost their noses.
What?
Yeah.
How would they lose their nose?
Okay, so something you probably don't know about syphilis. I don't know if we have that image of syphilis that I sent. Poor Jamie. I told your booking manager, Matt Staggs, I said, send these images to Jamie and don't tell him any context. You know, he'd be like, what the hell is this podcast going to be on? But
they lost their noses?
Yeah, they lost their noses. So syphilis attacks sort of the soft tissue. And the image that I sent through, which you'll show in a minute, the guy has holes in his scalp as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's a photograph.
That is a photograph from the 19th century.
Oh, my God.
So
it ate right through his head.
He held onto his nose, though, so you could just cover that with a hat.
Oh, I guess.
But it was incredibly painful, and Al Capone had syphilis, and so you lost your mind. It attacked the soft tissues, attacked the brain. It was really... So people today, you know, I'll show these images on my Instagram or Twitter, and people will be like, wow, I didn't know syphilis was so bad. It's like people died from it all the time.
Well, syphilis is also responsible for powdered wigs. You know that story, right?
No.
Oh, you
from
don't?
The 18th century. No.
Oh, I got something for you then.
Yeah, you got something.
When it was, I forget, some noble person got syphilis and started wearing a wig.
Yeah.
And when they started wearing wigs, other people started emulating them because they were the celebrities of the kingdom.
I feel like this is a drunk history.
No, this is real.
Okay.
This is legitimate. And the more wealthy you were, like, because syphilis makes your hair fall out as well.
Yeah.
I mean, your teeth fall out.
Yeah.
And so the more wealthy you were, the bigger and taller your wig would be. That is where the term big wigs comes from.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that in the 18th century that the wigs were getting bigger as the fashions.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my husband illustrated a book called the Gin Lane Gazette, and as it's sort of like an 18th century newspaper, and as the newspaper moves on, the women would have to sit at the bottom of the carriage because their wigs were so high in some cases.
Wow.
But
I wonder if the women had syphilis.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely.
Because
it would be passed on, or
so that's probably why they had wigs as well.
Yeah, and with syphilis, you know, your nose fell off, and it was so prevalent in the 19th century that they had no nose clubs. So people would get together, and they would in London. They would cheer the fact that we lost our nose. Yeah, we lost our nose. We have syphilis.
So they couldn't smell anything either.
No, I mean, it was awful. And actually, one of the ways that they treated syphilis was through mercury, which is very poisonous.
Terrific.
And so when you talk about
the loss
of...
No Nose Club? Writers in London?
I don't know if that's the No Nose Club, but...
Yeah, they might have STDs, though, it says.
Yeah, they're all just standing there with top hats and underwear. Yeah. Pull up the thing, though, about bigwigs, so I can show her.
Do you see that one right up there? Oh yeah, that's for mine. If you go up, Jamie, and go... This one? Yes. So that man didn't lose his nose to syphilis, but that's an early form of rhinoplasty that dates back to the Renaissance. And you'd have to stay in that position for weeks while that grafted. I believe this man was injured.
This guy had a cut of his, for people just listening, there's a slice off of his arm that's connected to his nose, and they have taped and strapped his arm to the top of his head. So he has to stay in this position while the chunk of his arm grows into his face, and then they're going to cut it and remove it when it develops its own blood supply.
It's like The Nick. If people have watched that show, The Nick, they have a scene with this. So, yeah, it would have been so uncomfortable.
You might be better off with no nose.
Yeah, you might be better off. And mercury, of course, you would lose your teeth, and it's just really awful kinds of things they did with mercury.
It just didn't work.
No, and
how long did that last for, the mercury thing?
All the way into the 19th century.
Jesus.
And so there's a phrase...
After a bunch of people died, when they go, hey, guys, this mercury...
People are still cupping,
What are we basing this on? Yeah, okay. Syphilis hidden between powder wigs. Syphilis epidemic in the late 1500s. Europe left people with patchy hair loss. Go to the actual... whose it was. So these noblemen... They were all gross, disgusting people with STDs. What is the name of the guy? Hold on. Don't scroll. Go back up. Here. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Oh, Louis XIV.
Louis XIV, only 17, his mob started thinking, worried the baldness might hurt his reputation. Louis hired 48 wig makers to save his image. 5 years later, but if you scroll down...
Both men likely had syphilis.
Yes, both men likely had syphilis. So this is what started it all out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
they were hideous too. Like,
well,
I mean, to our modern sensibilities, like that just looks so bizarre.
Well, not only, I mean, everything's gross, right? No one's washing themselves.
Yeah,
they don't know what germs are.
People think it was great. They watch a Hollywood movie, they're like, oh, it'd be so beautiful to live in the pet. No, it would have smelled.
People are such assholes with that. That drives me crazy when people want to pretend
romanticize that it was so lovely.
There are terrible things about life today. There absolutely are, but this is the best time to be alive ever, by far.
Yeah, people say, is this the best time medically? And it's like, well, hopefully that's always true, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully tomorrow is better than, hopefully we're advancing and learning more and